But this one I got on 5/2/22 at 4:11 a.m. And we had
Okay.
made a decision the night before that we were going to travel over and inspect something. And this dream came and it stopped me from making that trip.
Wow.
So in this dream, I'm in a large airliner, like a large 747 jumbo jet type plane, and I'm the pilot or
Hmm.
a co pilot. And as I got into the cockpit, there was a co pilot, but he wasn't like two seats side by side. His was like a separate, almost like what would a jet plane, kind of a capsule where they have where you sit
Hmm.
in there and they latch you in or whatever. Well, I'm sitting like in the center, like there's a center seat. And he's very calm and comfortable when he spoke to me. Um, I was late getting there. I wasn't sure what to do, how to do it. But he moved the plane, or we moved the plane around to the end of the runway where we're fixing to take off. And we're on the south side of the runway facing north. It's a slight uphill, very icy conditions, slick. And for some reason, I took control of the plane and moved it around to the other end of the runway. And I'm pointing it south, downhill on an icy slope. Um, First, the captain spoke, very calm, giving his qualifications in a very reassuring voice, saying that he'd been doing this a long time. He was one step away from his masters.
Hmm.
As I went through the pre flight, I didn't have any notes. I'm just like winging this, just trying to do what I could think of off the top of my head. I was very unprepared. So I checked my flaps, I moved the yoke around, but I'm having trouble even locating I don't even know what my call sign is for this plane. So I'm looking around trying to find out what it is. I finally found a sheet of cardboard that was scribbled on it, and I finally found it out. I called the tower. I knew I needed to do that. And this lady come on and she asked me if I was Roy. I says, no, I'm not Roy. And she mentioned several other names. And I says, no, I'm not them. I'm kind of new at this. And she says, well, I really liked Roy. So I got clearance and I remembered to say, okay, cabin crew, get ready for takeoff. I've flown enough times, you kind of remember some of that. And as I got ready to take off, my hands on the throttle, I'm just fixing to push it forward. And here comes a line of bicycles, all in a single file, all of them wearing green jackets, like what you would wear the master's jacket.
Hmm.
And I gather they're like past masters champions, but they're all in a line, single file. And I pulled my hand back off the throttle and stopped right there and woke up. Now, I've tried to break this dream down myself, and I'm sure there's a lot I'm missing on it, but I wanted to get y'all's take on it.
Hmm. Neil, you got any thoughts?
When you go into the cockpit, there's two chairs. There's actually three seats, right? You have the pilot, co-pilot, and then a third seat in the middle. Is that right?
I don't know. I've never been in a cockpit.
No, in your dream.
In the dream, there was just like a single seat in the middle, like I'm just sitting in the middle. I'm the only one trying to pilot this thing, but there was a co-pilot there, but he was kind of lowered down and like almost in a sealed encapsulation. Like I said, I would say like a fighter jet cockpit where they kind of latch the canopy in once you're in place. He was there, but I'm trying to pilot this plane.
So you're piloting this thing from a center position.
Yes.
Okay, which is kind of unusual for the 747 since there's at least three seats.
I don't remember any other seats in there.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other seats, but you're kind of in a position where you don't feel qualified to do what you're doing.
Correct.
And so you're going through the motions. So So you're facing north on an icy, I can't imagine a worse scenario to try to fly when you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Going uphill into the, I don't know if it's into the wind, but on an icy runway. But then the pilot says he's one step away from his masters. You're not the pilot, but the pilot is there.
The other co-pilot, like I said, but he's not sitting beside me. He's there, and I can hear his voice, but not really seeing him.
I'm just kind of curious. So the guy who's the master is not doing anything, but you're the one who's actually.
It's like he's allowing me to take control of it. He's along with me, but he's
right. It's not you're with him; he's with you.
Yeah, kind of.
Seems backwards, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. That's what I'm getting at.
So you're going through your pre-flight, which is, again, going through a pre-flight. Any Air Force pilot or commercial civilian pilot, they've got a checklist it's cumbersome. You go through each line individually, painfully. You make sure you got every single thing correct. You get to it's kind of funny that you're in a plane and you say you're winging it. It's kind of you kind of are winging it. And, you check your flaps, you check the sticks. You finally find your call sign written on a piece of cardboard, which is whoever was supposed to provide you with all that information totally blew it. And so it continues your frustration that you're not prepared, but you're powering through it, which is kind of I admire you for that. So you're scribbling some notes you got your call sign, and then you finally call the tower and they ask you if you're a Roy. It's kind of curious. The name Roy means king.
Means king?
Are you the king?
Oh, okay.
And so it's like, no, I'm not Roy. I'm not the king. But you know who the king is, because the king is probably the master who's sitting in the co-pilot seat.
I
think that's Jesus sitting in the seat with you.
I believe so, yeah.
There's those bumper stickers that you used to have on cars. Jesus is my co-pilot.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'd feel a whole lot better if he was my pilot rather than my co-pilot. I'm not relying on my own skills, quite frankly. I've done that before. I really don't trust my skills, quite frankly. So anyway, they get the name straight. You're not any of those, and the tower is still happy with letting you go, even though you can't identify yourself to them in a satisfactory manner. So they give you commands. You give them. You call back to the crew and say, prepare for takeoff, because it's kind of like you stayed at a Holiday Inn once and you kind of knew what to do. So at this point, you're sort of comfortable, but the plane is pointed in the wrong direction to your satisfaction. So you go in a completely opposite direction. You point the plane south, downhill on an icy slope.
Yeah, that says a lot to me there.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not sure I would point a plane in that direction. Does the difference between going north and south mean anything to you?
Kind of with the project I've been working on, yes.
Was there a direction of the project that you were working on that somebody had an idea that it was supposed to go in one direction and you were 180 out in your decision, or you're thinking about which way it should go?
Well, it's something I've worked on for the past 20, 30 years. I'd get little answers in my dreams that kept me on a path, and I would keep getting this: you've not gone far enough yet. You've not learned enough yet. You need to keep working at it. And I finally, just before this, it's like I put the last pieces of the puzzle together, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go do this. And I'm getting the impression it's like, no, you ain't ready yet.
Yeah, the idea of turning 180 has kind of two connotations. One is repentance. That's really what the word means, is to turn 180 from what you're doing. But in this case, I think it's more whichever direction you thought you were going in, you may not. It's not the right direction. But the next part is the bicycles that are coming at the plane. In the green jackets, like the Masters, people on the Masters, the past winners of the Masters, a bicycle has two wheels. It has two cycles. So this is a potentially something about cycles that are going on in your life. You've got a unicycle or a bicycle. So there's two cycles going on simultaneously. I don't know how that fits into your job and what it's going on with that, but it points to the ones who are associated with these two cycles are the winners, the top winners in their field. You play golf?
No, I kind of gathered it was like the past Masters champions, or I
Right.
would say
Exactly.
the prophets of old, if you will. There's a whole succession of them.
Well, you have the Masters. You have Masters talked about in two parts of the stream. The guy sitting next to you up at the front, he said, I'm one step away from my Masters. And these bicycles are who are Masters, are one step away from crashing into your plane.
Correct.
So, or at least trying to stop you. They gave you they provided enough of an obstacle in front of the plane that you were willing to stop the plane for them. So I think whatever you heard about stopping whatever you were doing, I think that was a good call.
Yeah, I told my wife that morning, I said that after this dream, everything that I felt like I wanted, I guess more I wanted to do, it was a culmination of all my years of collecting data and putting it all together, that this was the direction to go. And I got from this that you're not ready yet. You're going the wrong direction, or you're going about it the wrong way.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. I really like the symbol of the Masters and the green jackets. I think is really super interesting. Green also represents growth, right? And so if you're talking about being unprepared at any extent, or feeling like there's a maturing that needs to happen in either your project or your own ability, I do feel like there is, and I just hear, the fact that you're in the seat means you're ready. I think what may be happening, or what may occur, is, it's not really the direction the plane is pointing. It's the skill of the pilot, because it's not even having clear weather, they say, I was in the Navy, and they say, no sailor ever learned much about sailing through calm seas. Correct. So it's the that you're immediately in an icy situation, possibly headed the wrong way, potential human life obstructions in front of you. You're learning pretty quick. If this is your first day flying a plane,
and you do everything right.
Yeah, you do everything right, and you're learning pretty quick. So I think the green jackets being in such close proximity and the repeating of the Masters is the idea that I feel like you're pretty darn close yourself to mastering whatever it is that you're working on. And so I think it's an encouragement from the Lord, but also the idea that you're in a plane, which means you're about to take off. You're about to get promoted. You're about to see things from a higher position. You're in the driver's seat. There's a movement of people or something that's going to happen when this thing does take off that are going to go with you. And that's all part of what you've done, or what's positioned you to be where you're at. And so I would take it as an encouragement, but also as, just kind of an indicator of where things are currently.
Yeah, I think the several successive dreams real glossed over is the first one afterwards. I had lost my pickup. I'd left it in another town and rode with somebody else back. And I was trying to figure out how to get back to my pickup. And then the next one was jumping off into a deep pool of water. It's kind of like we've been talking about maybe your course and helping me understand dreams more. And then I get this deal about jumping in feet first in the deep end. There ain't no dipping your toe in it. You bail off into it.
Right.
Take a leap of faith.
Yeah.
Take a leap of faith. And losing the truck, you lost your truck of destiny, and you joined somebody else in theirs. It's kind of like, this doesn't fit right. You're not going to ride in somebody else's destiny. You got a unique one for yourself, and it's part of it's driven by your old truck. But jumping in the lake, deep calls to deep at the sound of thy waterfall. You're jumping in the deep end. It's like the gospel. Every ocean has a shore. It's shallow enough for kids to play in, and it's deep enough to go, deep sea diving.
Right.
And you're about to jump into the deep end. So snorkel up.
Yeah.
I've done that before.
That's awesome. Well, cool.
I thank you for your help and helping me understand this a little better. There was a lot of it I got. There were some pieces that I couldn't quite put together on it.
Awesome.
Thank you both.
Awesome.
Wish you the best on figuring this stuff out. I mean, the course that we're teaching is just awesome for working on that.
Well, like I said, I've been a dreamer all my life and trying to interpret my own dreams. And sometimes you're just like, yeah, okay, that one's over my head. I don't get that one. So,
yeah, learning the figurative language of God is the key to all that. You know, learning how He talks to you, and He talks to you all the time, which is kind of cool. You've got a lot of material. Do you write down every dream that you have?
Some, I guess, that are more memorable. I guess the one right before, David Scarlett with His Glory Ministry.
Mm-hmm.
We got to go to Israel with him, and right before we went, I had a dream of getting shot in the back with an arrow. And my wife pulled it out. I could feel it pull out, and she held it up and she said, "You were just shot with a golden arrow." So I feel like there's something to do with dreams, dream interpretation, and then trying to learn more and understand more about that, I think would be beneficial. I'm getting talked to. I don't listen real well sometimes.
I understand.
I will pilot this plane. Just step aside. I got this.
Yeah.
That's what we saw. It's like, despite the fact that you thought you didn't know. I mean, not many people get to drive a massive plane of destiny and be the pilot of it. Usually, there's somewhere back in the exit row or something, or in the tail. At best, maybe in the front in the first class section. But you're actually piloting this thing, and that's a huge responsibility. That's a huge destiny. So
it's leading others and taking others with you.
Down an icy slope headed south.
Yeah.